What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is Season 2, Episode 12, and the episode is titled Martelling It Like It Is. So we start this episode off with Marceau and his son and Maurice and his son, and they are meeting up at the Scott's Manor, as they call it. It is a 10-acre piece of land that the Scotts own, just so that they can build a legacy. And they're talking to their sons about, this is going to be their land, once the older generation, gets old and pass away, and that they want this land to be in their family, forever, for generations to come. And I think that is actually really amazing that they were able to purchase a 10-acre plot of land and that they can build on it and that it can be, in the family for generations to come. And one thing that I did notice with watching this, though, is that the boys weren't exactly, paying attention. I mean, I don't know if it's because they're filming and they are new to cameras, or if they're just at that stage in life where these type of things don't exactly matter to them. Like, it looks like they're like teenagers, or at least close enough to teenage age. And right now, property and owning things is not exactly their focus at that age. So Maurice and Marceau, they talk, and Maurice is just like, Marceau, he's like, well, who's all going to be in on this project? Because, now you're married. And Maurice is like, Kimmy, she's going to be cool with it. It's just that we've had some, creative differences in the past on a property, because she may have wanted it to look one way and he had a different idea. And Marceau, he's like, well, the less details that you give her, the less she'll have to worry about, or whatever he said. And I'm like, of course you would say that, because you only give Latesha the bare minimum of information. So now we have Mel. She's walking up to this house, and she's like, since Martel, he doesn't want to leave the house, I'm going to get my own. And who is her realtor? Destiny, because Destiny has her hands in every pot. Baby girl is a mom, a hairstylist. She had her beauty salon and beauty supply store, and she's selling houses on the side. So she shows her this really nice property. I mean, the house looks super spacious. It has a view of the city. Each kid will have their own room, plus a spare bedroom. And, of course, Mel's going to have, a master suite. The house looks really nice. And even her confessional, Mel is like, this will be the biggest house that I've ever lived in. And I think that we should upgrade, considering I'm getting a divorce. Like, why would we downgrade now? I said, oh, I know that's right. Girl, go ahead and upgrade your life. Get you that nice house that you want. Make sure the kids are well taken care of, and you're good to go. So Mel and Destiny have this conversation about her letting Destiny know that Martel doesn't want to move out of the house. So, she had to get her own, and she also has to let her know that Martel is going for full custody of the kids. And at this point, Destiny is like, Martel is losing his mind pretty much. And then she has to let her know that, Martel stopped by and he's, going around saying that Mel was cheating on him and all this stuff. And Mel is like, he's just going around talking to anybody who's willing to listen to him. And she moved out in April, and it doesn't really matter who she's talking to. And I absolutely agree. At this point, how dare you be mad at her deciding to talk to some other person when you've been cheating on her for what is it, 4 years? He's been messing around with this same woman. Get out of here. She's officially done with you, and she's moving on. And at this point, Mel is like, I'm a full course meal. I'm not no little snack or appetizer. And I'm like, you know what? Stand in it, Mel, because you are actually a great catch. Like, when you really think about it, like, yes, she is a great mom to her kids. She's a smart businesswoman. She knows how to, go out there and get it. And she's gorgeous. Like, honestly, Mel is the total package. So I'm glad that she knows her worth. And like she said in her confessional, listen, you were occupying your time with somebody else. I was not a priority. So now I'm going to let somebody else love me and treat me like I'm a priority. So I'm all for it, Mel. So Destiny is happy for her friend, and Mel is like, this is a good change for her, and I'm actually happy for Mel. I'm glad that she's stepping out of this marriage, and she realizes that she has so much more to do and so much more to offer, and she hasn't even reached her full potential yet. There's so much more to go for her. So let's go, Mel. So we now have Latesha stopping by Kimmy's house, and they're just kind of catching up. And first of all, they have this conversation about how, Kimmy, she goes to work, she comes home and hops in the shower. And here goes Latesha acting like, Kimmy's life, she has it made because all she has to do is go to work and come home. And I'm like, did you forget that this woman works at the hospital? Did you forget that Kimmy is a nurse? And she has a very hard job, especially because we are going through C-19 right now. Like, I get it. Yes, she does not have young children like you do, Latesha, but her job is very important. And by the time she probably comes home, she is exhausted. So they briefly talk about how, Kimmy saying that it's not that easy for her. And Maurice is very much like Marceau, as they think that men have certain roles and women have certain roles, and she's the only woman in the house. And Latesha, she goes on about how, Marceau basically don't help her, which is something that we all already knew. Like, she's like, sometimes he'll maybe load the dishwasher, or maybe he'll, wash his clothes, but his clothes only. And I'm like, y'all been married for 14 years, and you're still allowing this man to do the bare minimum? Girl, no, couldn't be me. The ladies briefly talk about the 10 acres. So I'm actually assuming that Latesha and Marceau, they purchased the land, and then at some point they are expecting for, Maurice and Kimmy to kind of join in on that, and then they can get their money, they can split the cost of it. Because I'm like, well, how are y'all talking about your brothers and you're building on this land? And Kimmy is like, she liked the house that she's in. She doesn't want to build a property on their 10 acres because that's all of them living too close together. So, of course, Latesha has to tell Kimmy about how Martel rolled up on them at their place. And, she's just like, he went on and talked about how he basically apologized, which it was not an apology at all, and said that, Mel was doing some stuff on the side under his nose, which I don't believe either. Like, sure, she may have talked to a few blogs or whatever, but Martel said a lot of things out of his own mouth. But, Latesha's like, this was good for him and Marceau, because clearly Marceau really took it to heart that him and Martel were no longer friends. So at this point, Kimmy is like, well, can you and Mel, resolve your issues? And Tisha, of course, is like, no, because Mel is a mean girl. I'm like, girl, you got some mean girl tendencies your damn self. So I don't know why you're trying to put all this blame solely on Mel. But, Tisha feels like they are just, two separate people, and she mainly wants to feel like Kimmy is 10 toes down for her and always have her back. And now that offends Kimmy, because she's like, why do you even question that? Like, I'm always going to, ride for you. But I think the thing is that when Tisha says that she wants you to be 10 toes down, she wants you to support her even when she's loud and wrong. But, of course, as we know, Kimmy is going to call you out when you're wrong about stuff. And that's the part where Tisha don't want to hear about it and thinks that she's only supporting Mel. Alright, so we do get a scene of Mel and her mom. They're having a conversation as she's packing her bags because, she must have bought the house that Destiny showed her. And, it was a great house. So, she's just talking to her mom about how Martel decided to file for full custody, and her mom even got a confessional and was like, some men, they like to play these mind games with women, to try to press her buttons. And that's exactly what he did, just trying to get under her skin. And of course it worked because you're talking about filing for full custody of the kids. Like, are you kidding me? So, she talks about how what actually led up to her wanting to move was that a couple of days prior, Martel gonna say, oh, well, I thought, some older women would have talked to you by now. I'm sorry, were you expecting for her to talk to some other women who are a bit older, and they were going to give her the advice of, girl, you should go ahead and stick it out with him. You need to stick with Martel. Take him back even though he keep cheating on you. Are you kidding me? No, we're not living like that anymore. This ain't the 50s or the 60s when women didn't have access to having their own bank accounts or, having much. Like, women are CEOs. Women are able to do a lot more than they did in the past. That's probably why most people's grandparents stuck together. If we're being completely honest around here, it's because women did not have the resources that they have today. So she's like, well, I thought that some men would have talked to you about this. And his response was basically the fact that they out here trying to give him game on how he can cheat better. And at that point, that's when Mel was like, see, no, you're not trying to make the situation better. You just trying to figure out how you can cheat and have peace while you cheating. So then Mel says that for Mother's Day, of course, because they do have 4 kids and their kids are, at the age of, hey, we need to really celebrate mom because she's a great mom. So they all get together and they go have like a beach day. The kids are having a great time, all this stuff. And this is the time where he decides to tell Mel that he got his bitch pregnant. Like, on Mother's Day, that's when you decide to tell your wife that you got your mistress pregnant. Martel is a piece of crap. I'm sorry. He just is. Like, it is so frustrating to just watch how this man moves and how he literally has no respect for Mel at all. And like Mel's mom said, like, he has just been a huge disappointment. So at the end of that conversation, basically Mel's mom just wanted to encourage her and, you're going to come out on the end of this and you're going to be fine. You're going to do great because she's already seeing the old Mel, come back from, all the distress that she's been in. So Mel's going to be okay. I don't know about Martel though. All right. So now we have Martel. He's in like this little business meeting talking about a property or something that he's supposed to be working on. And he has thrown Marceau's name into it, saying that he could get, Marceau to be the general contractor on this project. And I'm like, sir, you were just not this man's friend the other day. And like, even the guy he's talking to, he's like, oh, so you guys are friends now. And Martel is like, yeah, I've always looked out for Marceau as a friend, on different projects. Have you? Because this is not the same tune that you were singing when there was a discussion over Destiny's property. So the guy that Martel is talking to, he is not feeling any of this conversation. So Martel is like, well, what's going on? Like, why are you like reacting like that? And the guy's like, listen, At one point, this project was going to be called Hope Manor because, you know, the company that was backing us, they really believed in all that you're talking about. But your personal life has completely fucked over that deal. They are giving it a second thought. They don't even want to really go into business with your ass because of all the drama of you cheating on your wife. You got your side piece pregnant. You're on a reality show and you have created a comeback group, but can't nothing come back because ain't none of y'all friends no more. Like, yeah, the deal is done. I mean, his friend literally said, like, dude, you fucked this up. So Martel is over here in delusional land talking about, yeah, we can fix this. We can work on this. Nah, I highly doubt you'll be able to do that. And then the guy ends up asking, like, well, how much would, Mel be involved in this? And he's like, oh, she would just be involved in the sale of the property. So keep in mind, you guys, this is a $35 million deal that could pretty much set, all their families up so that they ain't got to really do too much, ever again. But like I said, it ain't happening thanks to Martel and his BS. The guy ends up asking, like, oh, how are things going with you and Mel anyways? And Martel is like, it's not good because there are some things in the divorce paperwork that I don't agree with. And I told her that I'm going for full custody. And the guy is just like, he just gotta look like, this dude is tripping. There's no way that he really thought he was about to, get full custody. So after that, you have the guy pretty much asking him, like, so what makes you think that you're going to, get custody? And he's like, well, I'm very involved with my kids, basically, and that he wants his kids. Even though he was just complaining to his mama that, oh my God, having all these kids is just so hard on me. Really, Martel? So come to find out, his friend has cheated before on his wife, but they worked through it. And I'm like, yeah, but you probably cheated maybe once or a few times. This was a 5-year relationship when it comes to Martel. And, he ends up asking him, like, well, since you were so worried about the kids now, were you worried about that when you were cheating? And Martel's like, no, you already know that ain't what I was worried about. Exactly. Because you ain't thinking about them kids. So, of course, he tries to go into his spiel about how, his actions were provoked, which they were not. Dude, you chose to cheat on your own. His friend is looking at him like, this dude is crazy. He's clearly losing his marbles. And Martel is BSing right now. So, and he was. And Martel, he then goes on talking about how he was out here cheating and coming home every day. And I'm like, what, you want a prize for that? Because you were still trash. I mean, at this point, I just want Martel to stop going around the town talking crap about Mel and this divorce. Dude, just sign the papers at this point. So now we have Marcel talking to Latesha, and they're talking about Scott Manor. I promise they said it at least 15 times within 30 seconds. And he's like, yeah, you're going to get that property. It's going to be great. And Tisha's like, well, I talked to Kimmy about it, and she's not on board. She doesn't pretty much want anything to do with it. And Marcel is like, okay, that's fine. It's for whoever wants to actually be involved with it. So now Tisha is feeling some type of way because she thought that her and Kimmy were just going to be like the greatest of sisters and all this stuff. And it's like, no. First of all, you guys are sister-in-laws. And Kimmy just seems like the type of person who likes independence and likes to be, not on her own, but like she likes her space. And I completely understand her. So then Latesha goes on about how she feels like Kimmy isn't always there for her and all this stuff. And Marcel basically tells her, listen, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't try to make it seem like you guys aren't great friends. You'll be fine, girl. And next thing you know, Miss Wanda pops up. Clearly, this was a pop-up visit. They did not know she was coming. Well, Latesha might have known, but clearly Marcel did not know that Wanda was coming. So he's just like, what are you doing here? And she's like, my bank is over here, so I just decided to come on over. And Tisha is like, oh yes, her bank is over here. And I'm like, Marcel, online banking is a thing, girl. You'll be okay if you just handle all of it online. So she goes on about how, she got a new man and all this stuff. And Marcel is like, wait a minute, you have a whole new man, but you out here wearing your wedding ring? Because come to find out, Wanda and her husband are actually separated, but she's dating a man and wearing her wedding ring. So Marcel is like, but you were attacking me about wearing a wedding ring? And I'm like, now here's the thing. I was rocking with you, Marcel. However, you never wore your wedding ring to show that you were married to someone. She's wearing a ring to let the guy who she's dating know she's still married, but he can probably still get it. So just like in Miss Wanda's messy fashion, she brings up the fact that, have y'all heard from the Holts? Y'all heard about the Holts? And they're like, why would we hear about them? And here she goes. She got to blab the gossip. Well, I heard that the girl is pregnant. I'm like, Wanda's so messy. And the crazy part about this is that Wanda is like bringing them this information. It's like, yeah, so I just want to know y'all thoughts about it. Like, girl, if you don't go out somewhere with this. And Latesha is like, I just want to focus on my family pretty much and let them handle their business over there. And Marcel is like, so at this point, can you just basically realize that you are messy? Are you going to admit that you're being messy? And Wanda is like, no, I'm just nosy. I'm like, nosy is a person who just wants to, know the information. You out here finding out the information, spreading it around the city. You're messy. So now you have Wanda talking about, well, you just better make sure that you don't do that same stuff to this one right here, pointing to Tisha. And I'm like, girl, he may not have had a baby with somebody, but that don't mean he ain't cheating. So, he's just like, what do you mean to do what? Like, and she's like, birds of a feather flock together. And he's like, I ain't flocking with him. I can't lie, that kind of made me laugh for some reason. And Tisha's like, people make it seem like they were so close, and they aren't even close like that. I'm like, yeah, anymore. They're not close like that anymore. But prior to this, they were hanging out together, clearly very tough, considering y'all have been in each other's lives for years at this point. So, next thing you know, Miss Wanda is out here getting so worked up about this Martel and Melody situation as if Melody was her daughter getting cheated on. And Marcel was like, hold up, girl. How are you going to sit up here and try to throw stones at Martel because he, cheated on his wife, but you have a whole man and you still married as well? I'm like, well, pot calling kettle. But I do like the fact that Marcel is calling Wanda out. I mean, I usually do not like Marcel, but when it comes to him going against Wanda, he definitely gives her a run for her money. So now we have Kimmy and Maurice talking. They're at their new office. It isn't complete yet, but it looked good so far. He's going to have an office so that he can practice law. She's going to have an office so she can do her real estate stuff on the side. Her son Jalen is going to have an office. Not exactly sure what he's going to be doing, but I mean, I get it. You bought this property, so you definitely have to fill up the space. They kind of go a little back and forth, not like too heavy, about Maurice spending way too much money on this office. And Kimmy, she's like, no, well, I have to, make sure that we're within a budget so that way we're not, stuck in a pickle in the future. And Maurice is clearly like, Don't worry, we'll be fine. And I do like the fact that Kimmy kind of brings him back to earth a little bit, because I feel like Maurice probably just goes overboard all the time when it comes to his spending. And part of the reason that he's spending so much money is just because he wants his office to look better than Marcel and Latesha's. So he brings up Scott Manor, and she's like, oh, okay, you went to go see it, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I went to go see it, and I know that you kind of like slow walked about the idea. And Kimmy's like, no, I didn't. I was, very honest and steadfast about my answer. I don't want any parts of Scott Manor. And she feels like, what she wants and believes in versus what Maurice wants is a little bit different. Also, she likes her space. Like I said earlier, she doesn't want to be all on top of all the rest of the Scott family. Now, what I also think is the reason why Kimmy is quite hesitant on this property is, where does this leave Jalen? And here's why I'm saying that. Because this is the Scott's Manor, and when they had the scene with the guys, it was Monster was there, and Marcel Jr. was there. Their two sons. I mean, of course not Marcel's daughters. Not because they were too young, but probably because they're women. I mean, well, they're, young girls. But where does this leave Jalen? Kimmy has a son from a previous relationship, and y'all over here talking about all this legacy and, leaving all this generational stuff. She wants something to have, to give to her son. So if she was to go ahead, put money in, invest in it, and be like, oh yeah, great, I'm going to do this with my husband, but where does that leave her child? Kind of hanging out there, swinging in the wind, because he's not a Scott, and all because, she was married to Maurice. That doesn't entitle him to any type of, property. So I get it. So as Maurice is going on and on, she's like, you sound like Latesha, because she just came over here and basically said the same things that you have said. And in her confessional, she's like, Latesha may be, married to the Scott's name by marriage, but she definitely thinks like a Scott. And I'm like, yeah, because she's still out here thinking that she needs to cook and clean and kiss the ground and Marcel walks on. And that ain't where it's at, baby. It's not there. So Kimmy has to have this conversation again about how Tisha doesn't feel like she's in her corner and blah, blah, blah. And clearly, she is supporting Latesha. But Tisha just has to realize that sometimes she's in the wrong. And now, since there's so much, beef happening amongst people with, Martel and Melody and Latesha and, how that goes, she's like, I don't even know who I can invite to Jalen's party, because she wants to throw him like a little party because he did graduate. And that's so dope that he got, he's graduated and he's ready to go into the workforce. But now she's just like, who can I invite? And if I invite one, is it going to be a problem if I don't invite the other? It's just some tough decisions that she's probably going to have to make. All right, so now this is where things get a little bit heated, and I realized that these two people have different parenting styles, because, she's talking about how Jalen's super happy that he graduated. However, he wants to get into, I think it's investment properties and, handling Airbnbs and that type of thing. But right now he can't do that, and he's frustrated about it. And, he would prefer if that's what he would be doing. But Kimmy, as his mom, she tells him like, hey, you just got to kind of like work this job until that comes along. And here goes Maurice. He's like, well, why is he doing that? And Kimmy is like, because he has to work. And I'm like, aha, this right here is the breakdown of these two different parenting styles. Kimmy comes from a point of, listen, even though you can't do something that you really want to do right now at the moment, you still have to survive. So sometimes you may not, just be able to run for your passion, and you may have to work a little 9-to-5 job real quick just to make ends meet, and that you have, some type of income coming in. Because please know, you cannot live off of passion and love and no money. So, Maurice, on the other hand, is the type of person that's like, no, go with your passion. Don't try to work a 9-to-5 if that's not what you want to do. But I can't lie. In today's society, you have to have some type of money. You have to have some type of income coming in. So I don't knock Kimmy for telling her son that. Also, he does have to work. Like, he's a grown man. Nobody wants to deal with their son who just got out of college just sitting on his butt just because he's waiting for an opportunity to come. He's waiting for, some type of investment property that he can invest in. No. He can work him a little job until, things start opening back up and stuff, especially considering we are going through C-19. We are in a full pandemic. Listen, if you got to work a quick little job, it could be like an online job or whatever you got to do to make ends meet, do what you got to do. Because the opportunity that's supposed to be for you, it is going to come to you. So at this point, Kimmy is like, I am teaching him work ethic, okay? And Maurice is like, basically going completely against her, saying, no, if that's not what he wants to do, then he needs to go get an entry-level job in the field that he wants to work in. And she's like, it's not that easy. Like, it's not easy as, I'm just going to put in my application, get hired, and then someone's going to take me under their wing. And that is very true of her statement. I mean, very true. Like, the job market is so competitive. And when she mentioned, like, and what we're going through right now with this pandemic, things are even tighter of a crunch of, people trying to get a job and make ends meet. So Maurice is like, see, no, that's the problem, because now you're getting him distracted with a different job that's not even in the field that he wants to work in. And she's like, no, I'm teaching my son work ethic, and that is like my job as a parent, because we've met too many people who don't have it, and my son will. I said, you know what, Kimmy? That is it. That is how you do it. I am completely here for Kimmy in this situation. I stand with Kimmy on this. Maurice can go on somewhere. And like she told him, you have not applied for a job, Mr. Entrepreneur, in years. So go on somewhere with that. I mean, at this point, this conversation is over. And she was literally like, yeah, okay, just let it go. Because at that point, if Maurice would have said one more word, he definitely would have been sleeping on the couch, and she was going to spaz out on him. Because that's one thing that Kimmy does not play about, is her parenting with her own child, which is something I respect. All right, so now we are back to the Martel and Mel drama. Mel has moved in. The kids are outside playing. She's outside with them. They're just all having great old family time. And who decides to walk up the hill, you guys? Martel. And she's like, why are you here? Because it's my 2 weeks, and why are you just popping up? And of course she had to, give him her new address, because she moved, and, she's still trying to be cordial with him, giving him her address, which I feel like, girl, you weren't better than me, because I would have dropped them kids off at his mama house, and she would have been the point of contact, because he would have had to come get them from her. Martel would not have known my new address. So Mel actually lets us in on a little tidbit, because she says that, she has the kids for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because half the time he not ready to get the kids. While he over here going up, talking about how, these my kids, I always want to be with my kids, you don't even be ready for it when it's your time. So at some point, Martel went on social media and he was like, oh, I haven't seen my kids in 2 weeks. Knowing that him and Mel have this agreement that she gets them for 3, and he gets them for 2. And then he's like, yeah, and then you blocked me, your mom blocked me. And she's like, yeah, of course. My mom doesn't have respect for you the same way you don't have respect for her. So at this point, he's so offended that Mel's mother does not have respect for him. He's like, she don't have respect for me. She ain't gonna ever see my kids ever again. Excuse me? I'm sorry, but you literally cheated on your children's mother for 5 years. You had a whole relationship with this other woman. You lied and said that it was over when it wasn't. Then you had the audacity to get your wife knocked up. No. And you're still with this woman. Oh, and now you have a baby on the way. Yeah. Any mother is going to be over you and have no respect for you because you have disrespected their child in so many different ways. So let's not play that game, Martel. Let's not. So now this argument has escalated and we get to the point of Martel, of course, talking about how, well, you cheated on me too. You were committing adultery too. And she's like, when did I do this? And he's like, years ago, have you ever cheated on me? And she's like, no, I have not cheated on you. And he's like, okay, well, you're talking to somebody now. See, here's the thing about Martel. He's so busy trying to run, Melody's name into the ground. You're accusing her of cheating on you back in the day. And now you're accusing of her cheating on you now. Like, sir, get it all together. Because right now, you sound crazy. And she's like, it doesn't even matter if she's with somebody else or not because she does not feel like she's married to this man. She wants him to sign those papers so that way this divorce can be over. She's ready to move on with her life. And at this point, they're just going back and forth. And he's over here talking about how, what was her sexual activity with somebody else. And I'm like, sir, go away. Just walk down the road. She tried to clean up the damn chalk that the kids were playing with. And, she's very frustrated. Like, he knows exactly what buttons to push when it comes to Mel. And she's like, you're not about to, ruin my brand and say all these things about me that are not true. And I know that a lot of people say, oh, if a person gets that worked up about something, then it must be true. No, I absolutely believe Mel. I think that she's literally getting worked up because every time she talks to Martel, he throws a dagger at her. Last time we saw them talk to each other, he threw out, oh, I'm going to take full custody of the kids. Now this time he says, oh, well, you cheated on me first. You were out here cheating on me. Because he's trying to ruin her brand. Of course you're going to try to defend yourself. But the thing about it is that when you talking to an idiot like Martel, he going to raise your blood pressure. Because he not going to let you get a word in. And because he's determined that he is right, even though he's wrong as hell. Even the producers had to get involved at that point. And as Martel's walking away, she's like, you're doing all this, and it's because I'm not with you. And he's like, I don't want to be with you. And I'm like, don't think that's true, because I don't think you'll be sitting up here arguing in this woman's driveway if you do not want to end up being with her. But because she's not accepting your BS or taking you back, now you want to try to smear her name through the mud. And like Mel said, he's a very good manipulator and he's a very good liar, but it's no longer going to work there because she's not having it any longer. And I am here for this version of Mel. I cannot wait to see what Mel will be up to in the future, because her future is very bright once she leaves Martel's crazy self. That pretty much wraps up my review of this episode. Oh my gosh, this is so long. I hope you guys stick it out with the video. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye.